Thank you, Evelyn, and good morning, everybody. Every year, the lives of more than 44,000 Irish people and those of their loved ones are turned upside down when they hear the words, "You've got cancer." And sadly, 1 in 2 of us are now expected to hear those words in our lifetime. The good news is that due to the work of the brilliant researchers in this room and your colleagues in the global cancer community, more than 6 in 10 Irish people now survive cancer. And over 9 in 10 survive breast, prostate and testicular cancer. Childhood cancers that were previously largely fatal are now mostly curable. But that's not enough, because 1 death from cancer is 1 death too many. At the Irish Cancer Society, we want to see a world where no one dies from cancer, where today's terminal cancers become tomorrow's survivable ones, and where people thrive and have a good quality of life beyond their cancer diagnosis as a result of more precise and kinder treatments. That future depends entirely on sustained strategic investment in cancer research. For our part, we are the largest charity funder of cancer research in Ireland. We have funded cancer trials every year since it was established in 1996 and have doubled our support for trials in recent years. We're investing in today's cancer leaders to help them to divide their time between groundbreaking research and care. And we're investing in the leaders of tomorrow through our early stage and PhD awards across all cancer disciplines. We provided foundational investment in the All-Ireland Cancer Research Institute to improve North-South collaboration and attract more investment to this island. And we have made large investments in recent years in partnerships with Trinity St. James's Cancer Institute to develop a world-class holistic model of support for people with early onset cancers, and with Beaumont RCSI Cancer Institute to pilot Ireland's first ever lung screening programme. And both of these latter investments will benefit not just the patients in those hospitals, but will also help to develop models that can be rolled out across the country. So we're really proud of what our investment in research has achieved and will achieve over the coming years. But we also know that so much more is needed. And as Evelyn said, the Irish government needs to stand up and match our ambition with funding and with support. We need to see much greater state support for cancer research, including clinical trials, and much faster access for Irish patients to the breakthroughs that research brings, including new medicines. And it was really shocking to see the figures that were released yesterday, and great to see the work that you can have done on that, and highlighting the impact for patients, on Irish patients having such slow access to new medicines. And it's heartbreaking. We hear these stories all the time through our support line, our DAFTL centres and others, of patients finding out that there's a drug that could improve their lives or even save their life, and that they can't get it here, but yet they would get it if they're up the road in Northern Ireland or almost everywhere else in Western Europe. And we're determined to do everything we can to work with you to change that. Over the last year, we engaged in an intensive advocacy campaign to highlight the insufficient funding by Government of Ireland's National Cancer Strategy. In partnership with ISMO and ISRO and many of the individuals in this room, we made the case that not only are Ireland's cancer outcomes lagging behind our Western European peers, but that in many areas we are going backwards. That intensive campaigning and engagement at the highest levels of government brought record additional funding in Budget 2025 for the National Cancer Strategy. And that is absolutely to be welcomed. But we won't stop there. And we won't stop making the case for cancer getting the political priority it deserves. We have already met with the new Minister for Health, Jennifer Carroll McNeill. We want to wish her all the best and success in her new role, and we will be working very closely with her. In that meeting, many of the issues we discussed many issues, and among them were the need to increase the number of clinical trials and to improve access to new medicines. Last year, the Irish Cancer Society commissioned Mazars to map Ireland's cancer trials landscape and identify obstacles. And they found that from 2018 to 2023, Denmark, a country with a similar population to ours, launched 3 times as many interventional cancer trials per year as Ireland. And that Ireland's R&D investment remains in the lower tiers of OECD, EU rankings, a reality that I know is felt acutely by everybody in this room and the patients that you're here to help. The report also highlights how our funding model for cancer clinical trials is not fit for purpose. Because rather than providing sustainable funding for trials over the longer term, it instead dispenses funding through short-term competitive research grants processes. This prevents the long-term development of cancer clinical trials infrastructure in Ireland and stifles our ability to scale up trials. A key recommendation of the Mazars report is to review the funding model in Ireland to make the funding streams more reliable and more strategic. And finally, we also saw very clear evidence from the report that there remains a number of patient barriers. And it was great to hear Evelyn talk earlier of those really inspiring stories of people who've had the opportunity to participate in trials. But we also know that one of the main barriers remains, while we know that one of the main barriers is lack of availability, we also know that the perception sometimes that people can have of trials is also a barrier to participation. And I want to share the words of Fiona Gallagher, a secondary school principal from County Galway, who was diagnosed with breast cancer and took part in a clinical trial. And Fiona said, "One of the most profound moments of my cancer journey came when I joined a clinical trial. The mixture of fear and hope was palpable. It felt like a leap of faith, not just in the science, but in my own ability to trust and move forward. But that act of hope, of deciding to take part in something bigger than myself, has been one of the most empowering decisions I have made." And those words, I think, are a really strong reminder of why we need to do more to dispel the myths around trials and get better at explaining what they are and where they're not and what the benefit is. And we've been doing a lot of work with CTI on that in recent years and look forward to doing more in the coming years. Lastly, I know that there are also contract, data protection and other issues that are hindering the development of cancer trials in Ireland. Many of these have been highlighted and discussed as part of the interim recommendations of the National Clinical Trials Oversight Group. We were delighted to see this group established last summer and to see their interim recommendations published in October. And I know we're all looking forward to hearing from Professor Donald Brennan on the brilliant work of this group. I was delighted to have the opportunity to raise these issues with Minister Carol McNeill recently and look forward to meaningful progress being made in partnership in this area over the coming years. I also want to conclude by thanking Cancer Trials Ireland for, as always, organising an excellent event today and for their ongoing amazing work and collaboration with us in the Irish Cancer Society. I want to finish by paying tribute to my colleague and friend, Evelyn Munro, on her incredible 10 years as CEO of Cancer Trials Ireland. Evelyn's passion, commitment and dedication to cancer trials have been unwavering. It's been an enormous pleasure to work with her to strengthen the relationship between CTI and the Irish Cancer Society, and I can genuinely say that we would not have the relationship that we have today without your personal leadership, and for that I'm deeply grateful. I want to sincerely thank you for your leadership, for your friendship, for your constant, I suppose, relentless determination. I know that's a quality that's also needed by all the researchers in this room, especially working in such a challenging environment, and for the difference that has made to so many patients over the last 10 years. And I want to wish you all the best in your new role. To everyone here, researchers, clinicians, advocates, thank you for turning the promise of cancer research into reality. And let's continue to work together until someone facing a terminal diagnosis today lives to see it become curable. Until better treatments spare patients lasting side effects like fatigue, infertility, or incontinence. And until breakthroughs and prevention spare more people having to go through the toll of cancer at all. And I know that none of us will rest until that vision is a shared reality. Thank you.